Changes are happening on the streets of Charleston, South Carolina.
It's exciting. I'm optimistic. I think sometimes when you look at all these strategies and you look at the enormity of doing an audit in the midst of operations and all the other things that we need to do to pay attention to keep our city safe, it can be overwhelming, but I've never been more optimistic. I am excited about our future. I'm excited about the direction that we're taking. And I think that this is a big positive step to get us where we need to be.
In January 2019, the city of Charleston selected CNA to conduct a racial bias audit of their police department. Less than a year later, the audit report was released. The audit spotlighted racial disparity in traffic stops, poor data collection practices, lack of clarity on use of force policies, a lack of diversity on the police force, gaps in efforts to engage the community, and a lack of accountability mechanisms. Altogether, CNA noted 48 findings and developed recommendations for each.
This audit, for other cities that might have an interest, if you have that appetite and you're willing to jump into it, is a way of illuminating some of the areas where you have strengths, but also many of the areas where maybe you have weaknesses.
Charleston Police Chief Luther Reynolds did not take long to address those weaknesses and implement changes, greenlighting several recommendations where he knew the department could get to work right away. A checklist of the department's accomplishments includes hosting community meetings to jointly discuss the audit's recommendations and develop next steps, reorganizing staff to better facilitate professional development opportunities, approving 2 new positions to review the CPD policies and procedures and make sure the department keeps on task with implementing recommendations, culture and diversity training for every new officer, which includes a trip to the Slave Museum, lunch with residents at a local senior center, and foot patrols. 4 hours of training on community-oriented policing for supervisors, training for the Internal Affairs Unit, and upgrades on the department complaint and use of force reporting software. Partnering with the College of Charleston to develop strategic plans in the areas of traffic, recruiting, and community outreach.
Initially, it didn't feel good, but we've had meetings with our command, with our rank and file, with our communities. And what we've found is as we talk through this and people recognize that it's going to make us a better organization, that it's going to make us have even better relationships with our communities, that it's going to help us advocate for resources. We had gaps, we had deficits, we had deficiencies, and we're getting those filled in large part because of the audit. It codified these things. So now we're getting resources like technology. We're building our training. We're building a leadership development entity. There's a lot of things we're doing that we weren't previously doing, and we're doing it in a way that's going to be sustainable, it's going to be measurable, and it is already, and it's really in the long term going to be a game changer.
Overall, the feedback from the community has been positive. Retired Judge Arthur McFarland with the Charleston Area Justice Ministry and Reverend Kylon Middleton with the Illumination Project were the driving forces behind this audit. McFarland says the Charleston community has responded favorably to the audit because of the transparency demonstrated by the CPD.
Implementation of the findings is critical, and reporting to the community on a regular basis, the process of implementation is also critical. If the department is serious, if the city is serious, we know that this is going to be not an instant change simply because policing the Black community, as we sometimes say, has been a multi-generational practice. And, it's going to take quite a while to make the changes. But if the commitment is maintained by both the city leadership and the leadership of the police department, then I think we will see a difference in years to come.
Chief Reynolds admits that implementing all of the audit's recommendations will be a lot of work, but they're up for the challenge.
I think the biggest thing for me is how do we do this and achieve maximum success and not just maintain, but build confidence in our police department. There's been an initial surge of that. It's been positive. How do we make that a total success? And that's going to take time and a whole lot of commitment, a whole lot of leadership, and a whole lot of effort from all of us.